Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. In today's video, we are going to talk about high-end and luxury makeup products that I would recommend across 16 categories if you are new to makeup or a beginner or would just like some recommendations outside of what you have in your makeup bag already. I just finished filming a look, in case you're wondering what's on this crazy, super colorful face of mine today. I just finished filming a look with the new Natasha Denona Pastel palette, which looks like this. This is not a beginner palette because the color story can be difficult to work with. But yeah, that's what I have on my eyes. And then I have the color Berlin, which is from KVD Cosmetics and is a liquid lip. So together, this is like a super bold look for me. But yeah, it's what we're working with today. So anyway, I did a part 1 of this video that is posted to my channel that is the drugstore version. If you're new to makeup, products that I would recommend from the drugstore to put into your makeup kit to cover everything you would need from the beginning of your makeup look all the way to the end. So we'll do high-end and luxury here as I go along with the categories. If you have other recommendations that you think would be great for beginners, please drop them in the comments. I love reading people's comments, and then viewers love to read each other's comments and get ideas from each other. So please share. I am sharing with you products that work for me and my skin, which is normal to oily. I have an oily T-zone, which is this area here, and then the perimeter of my face is normal. I'm 47 years old. I do have texture on my face, particularly in my cheek areas and areas where there is a little bit of sagging and so forth, where I may want to conceal dark spots and kind of do a little bit of magic with makeup. 2 quick notes before we get rolling. 1, we're in my bathroom, so I hope that's okay with it. I just finished filming this look and thought I'd go right into the next video and be here where all my products are. And 2, my criteria for picking out these products is that they had to be in the high-end or luxury range, meaning if you've ever been into a if you've ever been into an Ulta, not a Sephulta, if you've ever been into Ulta, you know that one side is drugstore or affordable makeup, and then the other side is your high-end and luxury makeup. And then on Sephora's site, most of it is high-end and luxury. There's very little affordable makeup on the site unless you're looking at like the Sephora line of products. They had to be on the high end and luxury, and they had to be very easy to apply for a beginner. I didn't want to suggest products that are difficult to apply or fussy or that require really advanced makeup techniques to apply. So for primer, which is the first of the 16 categories, I am assuming that you have washed your face, you exfoliated your face with something gentle, and that you have a really nice moisturized base for your face. And so I have 2 products to recommend in the category of primer. The first is the Vanish Airbrush Primer, which really, I don't know what kind of magic is in this stuff, but you don't have to use a lot. I would say less than a dime size, less. Like maybe just a quick squirt on your hands. And I love that this is a product that you can press into your pores, okay, around your nose and your cheeks and anywhere else you may have, maybe like some pocking from acne or anything like that. It helps to sort of blur all of that out because it fills in like putty. It fills in those spaces and blurs. This is a blurring primer. If you would like something a little bit more moisturizing, if you have a dry skin type, again, moisturize before you start. But if you want extra moisturizer in your primer, I would highly suggest the Luminous Silk Hydrating Primer from Giorgio Armani. Excellent. It goes on smoothly, no problem, and great hydration. After priming my skin, I usually go in with an eyeshadow primer and apply all over my lid and the area here in preparation for eyeshadow. 2 recommendations is, one is the Hourglass Veil Eye Primer. It's a texture that's a little bit, it's like soft, really soft. So it has a little bit of tint to it. The one that I have, I don't know if it comes in clear. I think it just comes in this one color. Anyway, a little bit of tint, but it doesn't hide your natural skin. And it provides a really soft, almost like a velvety, cushiony foundation here for any kind of eyeshadow that you might want to apply, and it's super easy to put on. And if you want something that's going to cancel out like the color a little bit more, like your veins and so forth, I would suggest the Nars Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. These do come in different colors, and I have the color medium. The camera will never pick this up, but that's the eyeshadow, the Veil Eyeshadow Primer, and it just smooths things out so nicely. But here's the Nars. This is one that you can blend out with a brush. You can do that, or you can just sort of tap it out into place. And it does provide a little bit of coverage if you have like veins that show up and so forth that you want to cancel out before applying your makeup. My best advice for eyeshadow primer is to go in with less versus more until you know what you're doing. Just a little like pencil point and tap it out as much as possible, or rub it out as much as possible, or use a brush, but your fingers are usually best, especially if you're a beginner. Next, I would usually go in with concealer, and I have two really fabulous options for you. There are lots of great high-end and luxury concealers, but the first one is going to be the Armani Power Fabric. I have mine in the color 4. The bottle looks like this. It's kind of a sheer formula that's really easy to apply. That doesn't look sheer on there, but sheer maybe isn't the right word. I should have said light coverage. See? Really nice. And it gives you a lot of time to work with it. Not that it doesn't dry down, it does, but it gives you time to apply and then pat out under the eyes really nicely. It gives you even coverage without looking cakey. What I meant by sheer is that it's really like a light layer under your eyes. And then the other one that's similar, it's lighter, it's not like heavy coverage, and it's so easy to apply and such a pretty concealer, is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Concealer. Mine is in a little bit of a dark color for when I am tanner in the summertime. I have mine in light medium 14. Let me give you a sense of what that texture is like. I just adore this. It's a creamy, easy to apply concealer. Love it. Also doesn't cake. By the way, if you do have problems with caking under the eyes, I suggest the 3-step method. Apply a little bit here, a little bit out there, tap the whole thing out, let it settle because it's going to settle. Go back in with just a little bit more, like a little pinpoint, and do it again. Let that settle again. And then take your fingers and press up into the caked up areas, and it'll help to even it out. There's lots and lots of other tricks, like applying a little bit of setting spray to a sponge and tapping out, setting under the eyes with a little bit of powder. There's lots of different ways, but that's just one that recently I've been using the most. Then I usually apply foundation. If you prefer a powder foundation, I would suggest go with Bare Minerals. It's tried and true and works for a lot of people. Just make sure you get a good, dense powder brush that's made for mineral powders and use that on your face to apply and then sort of buff it out. But I have 2 liquid foundations to suggest. The Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. I have these in the color 2N and 3.5N. This is more of a wintertime color, and this is more of a late spring into summer when I'm a little bit more tan. Now I would probably mix the two for my current skin tone. This is a nice lighter foundation. You can build it up to medium, but what I love about this is it looks very skin-like. So it's not going to cancel out your whole face, but it's going to give you a light layer of coverage, unless you go on with like 2 coats or you go on really thick, then you get to medium coverage. And it's very natural looking. I really love the way this settles onto the skin. It doesn't crease or like bunch up around the nose, at least not for me. And when I look in the mirror, the true test is looking in the drop-down mirror in your car, because the lighting outdoors, if it's a sunny day, is going to show every flaw in your makeup and every flaw in your skin. And this always looks really nice, very skin-like when I do the mirror test. The other that I would suggest if you want medium to full coverage, more in the medium range, is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I have this in 3 shades, 5, 5.5, and 6. This is 5.5, which is more of a between my paler shade and my tanner shade kind of color. I adore this. This is in very, very many makeup artists' kits and stays in there for a reason. It goes on nicely. It gives you a nice medium coverage that's, again, very natural looking, luminous, meaning it doesn't make your face look completely matte. And there's a little bit of shine that comes through, like a natural shine, and it lasts all day. I really, really like this a lot. Very, very pretty and easy to work with. Next, I typically go in with bronzer, which is my favorite product and my favorite makeup step. And I have, again, two recommendations. One is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, a matte bronzing filter for face and body. You can use this on your face and on your décolletage and wherever you would like. But that's what it looks like. This is the color 2 medium. It's a huge pan, which I like for beginners. You don't have to try to like struggle to dip your brush into a little tiny, container pan. And it's very soft. It's just hard to apply this wrong. In fact, you have to work really hard to over apply this. So get yourself a nice big fluffy brush, tap, 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 and just kind of tap around the perimeter of your face or wherever you would like to bronze up. I even do some down the sides of my nose for a little bit of contouring there, under the chin, and so forth. So this is a nice, easy bronzer that is very, I think, finely milled, meaning the powder grain size is really, really tiny and easy to apply, and it gives you a nice look. And I would also suggest, although I suggest going in lightly with these, but the powder is beautiful. It's the Gucci Poudre de Beauté. Poudre de Beauté. And Beauté? Not Beauté. This is in the color 3 Éclat Soleil, which is a little bit dark. Let's see. I mean, I have tons of bronzer on already. I just did a little light tap. See, like it goes on deeper, quicker than your Charlotte Tilbury, but also just a beautiful finely milled bronzer, and it's hard to go wrong with these. The component is very nice and luxurious too. What I don't like is it is thick. So if you don't have a lot of space, just keep that in mind. They went through the trouble of doing this number where it has a little brush for application. You see it's still in the plastic. I never use it. This is a pretty pricey bronzer, but I really, really love the consistency. Either before or after bronzer, it doesn't really matter when you do this step. I usually do it before bronzer, but you can do it after bronzer, is a setting powder on your face, like a loose setting powder. My very favorite from the high-end and luxury section is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I use this for my wedding. I just think it does a fabulous job. I love the packaging on this, so pretty. You tap out a little bit on the top. You can tap it onto here, or you can sort of, look at that, punch it up into there, get your big powder brush and go into your face to set your foundation, meaning put a little bit of powder on your foundation to help the liquid sort of settle down. You want to do it after your foundation has started to dry, not right when it's wet. It'll get really weird and cakey. Make sure it's mostly dry and then go in with a very light dusting of setting powder. You don't need any of these steps, just to be clear. This is like if you want a full face. And then my other recommendation would be the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. Tried and true, both of these. I mean, these have been around for a while, and lots of makeup artists and makeup YouTubers use these religiously because they perform well and they give you a nice finish to the skin before you go in with any of your products that have real color, like your blushes and your eyeshadows and all of that. Speaking of eyeshadow, which is another favorite step of mine, man, there's so many wonderful options of eyeshadow in what I call your higher end drugstore, not your regular drugstore. I'm not a big fan of those, but I'm talking about like your BH Cosmetics, ColourPop, and so forth. But on the true high-end and luxury side, there are 2.5 that I would recommend. A very, very, not a beginner palette, but something that I think will be easy for beginners to use and is sort of foolproof, is Persona Identity Palette. This is what the palette looks like. And the reason I would recommend this is because it has all of the basic colors and textures that a beginner would need. Has some light shadows, both in a more matte-ish kind of formula. The shimmers in here are soft but impactful, almost leaning metallic, but they're not chunky. They're very soft shimmers. And it's got some cool tones as well as some warm tones. It even has a dark shadow here if you want to use this as eyeliner with a little like liner brush. Wonderful, wonderful. And it has some deeper tones here if you want to like smoke out the edges of your eyes or go on the under eye area with these. Excellent choice and great for lots of different skin types and tones, from very, very light skin tones to very deep skin tones. Could rock a number of looks out of this little palette and great for travel. And then in the 2.5 area, I have fallen in love with the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette. This packaging is aggravating because it shows all of the fingerprints, right? That's not beginner friendly. But what is this beautiful color story. If you like warm shadows, earthy looking shadows, this is a winner set. I would say maybe the creams over here, if you're a beginner, can be a little bit intimidating, but play around with them. You can tap these out on your eyelid or in the corners or along the crease before you go in with any of the powder. So there's powder, mattes, and there are shimmers, and even this one here is a little bit shimmery. And actually these are more metallic than shimmer, but excellent quality. I love this palette. By the way, it's gotten a good amount of negative review, and I'm just not sure why. I really like this, and I think it's easy for beginners to pull a look out of that because it's got great color options, but it doesn't have so many colors that you're overwhelmed. Now, if you're a little bit past beginner and you want something like that but more adventurous, one of my all-time favorite palettes is the Biba palette from Natasha Denona. It's considered a neutral palette, but it's not neutral. It gives you cool, what I think are some cool tones up here and some really warm tones. This was my wedding palette, and I just adore this. This is a palette that I think is a lifer for me. I love that it has a black in there again for the liner if you would like that. I've gotten some gorgeous grayish grungy looks out of here, some light gray looks if I stick to like these two, some beautiful caramelly looks with gold on the lid. There's lots and lots of different options, although this looks a little bit boring once you start playing in there. This is an excellent quality palette that lasts for a long time. After eyeshadow, I would usually apply eyeliner, and sometimes I don't do any liner at all, but my very, very favorite liner recommendation is the Urban Decay the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil. I have several of these. This is in the color Torch, which is this beautiful, like creamy, caramelly brown color here. They're really easy to apply. It's a nice creamy formula, and you can smudge it out quite easily if you would like to. I do not recommend liquid liners, by the way, for beginners. They're really, really difficult to work with, and they can smudge. And if you are more mature and have a lot of texture on your eyelid, you're gonna have a devil of a time with a liquid liner. I like the Bobbi Brown Long Wear Gel Eyeliner. It's a very forgiving formula. Let's play around. I would get like a little brush like this that is a liner brush, pick up a little bit of product, and then along my lash line, just start to sort of color in a little bit. And you can go as, obviously, as thin or thick as you like, but it's a nice opaque texture that is very forgiving. And again, you can smudge it out if you would like with your fingers or with a brush. I finish off my eye look with mascara, and I definitely use an eyelash curler. I don't have fake lashes on. These are my natural lashes. I said that like I have these huge, big, voluminous eyelashes, but they're not that bad. And I do use a lash growth serum, by the way, to be honest and fair. Two mascaras that I really like. One is a drier formula and one is more wet. The dry formula, if you're scared of a wet formula, is the Pat McGrath Dark Star Mascara. This is holy grail status for me. I love the wand on this. I'm not going to open this one because this is brand new and I don't want it to start to expire once you open it, but it has like an hourglass shape, which is what works best for my eyelashes and my eye shape. And then the wetter formula, which is what I have now, is the Lancome Monsieur Big formula, and it looks like that. So it's not quite hourglass, but it does have, it's very sort of a spiky look, and it helps to lift. I usually go on the base and then blink down. It helps to lift the whole lash. And this stuff is no joke. You really need to work hard to get this off at the end of the day with like a makeup balm remover, okay? Then we go to eyebrows, and I have two recommendations. I love a pencil to fill in some of the sparse areas. I've got way too much product on my eyebrows now, In the video that I filmed before this one, I was playing around with a pomade, which is, I think, too much for me. But on my eyebrows, I like the Anastasia, I think it's called the Brow Wow, but I also love the Precisely My Brow pencil from Benefits. This is in the color 3, and I do have this on today to help bring the tails of my eyebrow out and to fill in here a little bit. So this is a really nice, easy formula to use, and it comes with a spoolie if you like that to help shape your eyebrow hairs at the end. And then if you would like what's called a gel, like a mascara gel for your eyebrows, maybe in addition to a pencil or instead, I would recommend the ones from Anastasia. This one is a fun one. It's in the color brunette. It's a tinted brow gel, and it actually comes across a little bit like slightly gold for fun, but you wouldn't be able to tell that unless you were right up on the person's eyebrows. It just lightens them up a little bit. Yeah, you can see that on camera that it just ever so slightly gives it a little bit more of a brown tint than a dark, ashy looking tint. Next we go to blush, and hands down I would recommend the Laura Mercier blushes. They come individually. There's a lot of great products that have lots of options in them, like your Nars palettes that come sometimes in like 5 and 6 different shade options in addition to individual ones. But this is the color Peach and Bellini, and they apply really nicely. It's hard to over apply these unless you're very aggressive. And then I would also highly recommend the Hourglass blushes. Here is what the component looks like. And what colors do we have here? I have different ones, but this is Dim Infusion and Incandescent Electra. It's a little deceiving how they look in the pans because they have these swirl factors to them, but they apply just so beautifully. I'm going to try Incandescent Electra. I already have some color on my face. They're just the most finely milled, beautiful, luminous looking blushes. Has just the slightest bit of luminosity to brighten up your blush look without getting clownish. I really, really like these blushes and think they are probably some of the highest quality blushes on the high-end and luxury side of things. We have a few categories left. Hang in there. Let's go to lip liner next. My very, very favorite lip liner has recently become the Huda Beauty Lip Contour Liners. I have several of these. This is in the color Warm Brown. They're just very creamy without slipping and sliding. There are some, like the Pat McGrath liners, I like the color variation that she offers, but I don't like that when I apply them, they can kind of go away quickly or smudge out in a way that I don't like. These stay put and they're easy to apply. So remember, this video is all about products that are reliable, high quality, and easy. And then I would recommend, if you want a drier formula, because this one is pretty creamy, the Huda one, I would go with Le Lip Liner from Lancome. These have a little brush on the end that I don't really ever use. Maybe I should. But these are stiffer and drier, but they don't tug on your skin. Anyway, nice range of colors on both of these pencils for if you are a rosy pink person on your lips, or you like warmer shades, or you like vampy shades, or whatever. There's all kinds of variety of liners from these two, and they're reliable and they last long. Obviously, after lip liner, I would put on lipstick. Then we'll do gloss, then we'll do highlighter and setting spray, and we'll be done. So stick with me. There's lots of great lipstick options. Huda makes a good lipstick. Pat McGrath makes a great lipstick. Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude series is chef's kiss. But to give those names a break, I will share with you two others that I really love. One is the Urban Decay Vice lineup. This one is in the color Depends on Traffic. It's a cream formula. I like matte formulas mostly, but every once in a while I would like a cream formula as well. Cream meaning it's a little bit sort of smoother on application. It has a little tiny bit of sheen, luminosity to it. But these are nice and opaque, and they come in such a wide variety of colors, and they're reliable. They go on nicely. There's no fuss, no tugging, no problem, and they will last you until you need to reapply, like after a meal. And then one of my favorite lip formulas are the Gucci ones. This is what the component looks like. Luxurious. And I love their matte formulas. This is in the color Goldie Red. Again, a variety of colors, really opaque formula. I like the matte ones the best. They just go on nice and creamy and they stay put. Beautiful. Look. Then if you want to apply a gloss, I don't always, but sometimes I get a little wild hair. I'm only going to recommend one brand of gloss, and it is the Pat McGrath Lust line. There's so many of these colors and they're beautiful. This one is in the color Wicked Whisper. It's just so high. It's so lush, okay? Juicy on the lips. And you can wear these alone. You can put some liner on and just put these on and be all set for the day. Love the highlighter. I recently fell in love with Ofra highlighters. I got this one in the color Beverly Hills. Color meaning colors. Look at this thing. It has everything. It has gold, rose gold, a peachy color, a real gold. Actually, this is champagne, and like a more silvery white color. That's really, really awesome for highlighting on the cheeks. This is a lot more bling than the next highlighter that I'm going to suggest. It's not really picking up here on, there you go. Boing. Bling out to outer space. That's a lot. Yeah, this is outstanding stuff if you want to bling bling. If you want to just ding ding and not bling bling. If you want a highlighter that's just a bit more subtle, not quite as like blinged out as something like this, try the ones that Hourglass makes. I think they sell these individually. I have all of mine inside of their palettes like this. Like here you get a bronzer, a finishing powder, you get a blush, and then this highlighter, which I think is both impactful but not super crazy. Like you can build these up and they're nice, subtle highlighters. Let me see if I can show you here. There you go. They're nice and subtle without getting too crazy, but it's not like you can't see them. They definitely have an impact. So these are really high quality highlighters that are luminous, beautiful, and go on quite easily. And then if you want to finish off your look with a setting spray, which again is not necessary, I have two choices. One is the classic Urban Decay All Nighter, which actually I don't have a finishing spray on. Smells a little bit weird, but it does the job. It helps to like make your eyeshadow color pop and everything set into place. You want to take a sponge or whatever after it starts to dry and kind of press everything down, but beautiful. And then I don't have one of these right now, but I'm going to repurchase. I was on the fence about repurchasing, but I'm going to repurchase, and it's the Hourglass Setting Mist. Yes, I know Hourglass has had a lot of products in this lineup, but they really do have some phenomenal formulas. This one is dewier. It's a little bit oilier, so if you are already oily, maybe stay away from this. But I like to do a light spritz of this on the skin, especially in the winter when I need a little bit extra like hydration looking boost and kind of help it settle down, like I said, with a sponge after it started to dry down. Those are my recommendations for a starter kit if you want only high-end or luxury products, or maybe you want to mix and match from the drugstore. And so go check out the other video if you haven't, and I am so glad that you joined me. Please let me know what you think of these selections and if you have other recommendations. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends.